The views, comments, and opinions of the following program do not necessarily reflect those of Morris Media Studios, MorrisMediaLive.com, or its affiliates. Listener discretion is advised.
Good day. We want to welcome you to Faith Without Borders. I'm your host, Pastor Kelvin Sauls. It is a joy to welcome you to our show today. As you know, here at Faith Without Borders, it is our goal to engage in thought-provoking and solutions-driven conversation by looking at a variety of issues and topics affecting our communities both locally and nationally, as well as globally. And so we're looking forward to today's conversation. It is going to be an exciting one, a wonderful conversation. We're going to be talking about women of valor, experiences and impact of black women in the U.S. military. And so that's going to be very, very exciting. It's exciting to me because while I was the senior pastor at Homer United Methodist Church, one of the ministries that I had the opportunity of facilitating was a ministry entitled Beyond the Battlefield. And this was our ministry with veterans and their families. And as we were preparing to launch that ministry, and as part of our research, it became clear to us that it's going to be important for us to focus that ministry on women veterans. And so that really then set us on a path to really educating ourselves about military culture, educating ourselves around, what happens, with those who serve in the military, as well as their families, because we know entire family service, not just one individual. And so it was a very, very enlightening journey, a very, very powerful experience. And as we participated in it, we wanted to be clear that our goal and our vision with that ministry was to really care for veterans and their families. It was not, to see how we wanted to take a stand, on war or violence or peace or any of that, but to really zoom in on the humanity of those who serve, and to see how we can serve them, as they serve, the country. And so it was a very, very uplifting journey and enlightening journey for me, as a pastor. And I'm grateful for those who came alongside us to work with this, to think through it, pray through it, and then finally launched it. And so it is a joy today to continue, that work as we are joined for our program today by three individuals who served in so many ways. And not only did they serve in active duty, but they continue to serve in so many ways. And I've had the privilege of connecting with them and getting to know them. They are all members of the National Association of Black Women in the Military. And so this afternoon, it is just a joy for me to welcome with us here retired Chief Warrant Officer 2, Latia Suttle, who is here with us, as well as retired Lieutenant Colonel Patricia Jackson-Kelley, who is here with us. And then we're going to be joined later on via phone by Martha Taylor Butler, who is retired Airforce, veteran. And so we just excited that you're able to join us today. Thank you, and welcome to Faith Without Borders.
Thank you.
Let me start off first by just thanking you for your service. And I know, we have been, in communication, for a couple of years now. In fact, you were kind of part of, guiding us and helping us and advising us when we were launching, that ministry at the church. And I want to just express our gratitude to you for always being right there, accompanying us, in launching that ministry. And it's been an honor for us to be a part of that ministry and to have you here as we, just really learn more about, women who, who served, or women veterans. There's so many different, names, that we had to learn by which, women wanted to be called who served in the military. So today we're going to, be educated, but not just that. We're going to also see how we can be supportive, of, you and all of our women, of Valor who have served in so many ways. So welcome. It's good to have you all here, and glad that you are here. Let me invite you just to maybe say just some words of just some introductory words, maybe a little bit about yourself, and then we'll just take it from there. So. Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Pastor Sauls. As stated, I'm Lieutenant Colonel Patricia Jackson-Kelley, retired, and I am very happy to be here today. I'm glad to have any avenue of getting the message out about women's veterans and the resources that are available, because women's veterans issues are something that I've diligently worked with for the past over 30 years. Mm-hmm. And it seems as if sometimes we kind of reinvent the wheel. And so I think this would be one of the means of not doing so. I think that this is one of the ways that we can move forward. And I really appreciate you having us here today.
Yes, thanks for being here. Latia, you want to just share some introductory words?
Thank you. So I'm Chief Warrant Officer 2, retired, Latia Suttle, retired from the Army. I'm the Public Relations Officer for the National Association of Black Military Women. I do a lot of advocacy work for military women, and I appreciate this opportunity of getting the word out about our organization.
Yes, I'm glad that you took the initiative, to contact me and say, Pastor Sauls, I think we need to do this. This will be a good thing to do. And I said, let's go. Okay. I also want to just acknowledge Latia. We work together, in community organizing at Community Coalition, and you provide leadership there. You're a member of Community Coalition, so it's glad to always be with you on the front lines of so many issues affecting our community. So that's just great. Let me just jump straight in and just ask you, if you want to maybe just tell us a little bit about the National Association, of Black Military Women, when it was, founded and for whom it was founded. So just help us just get, some, knowledge and understanding of that.
Thank you very much. I guess I neglected to say I'm the national president for the National Association of...
Madam President.
And it's been my honor to represent the organization. And the organization was founded in 1976. And everybody is really astounded to know that it's been in existence this long, and we don't have the recognition that we should have. In 1976, a group of 21 women met. They were members of the Women's Auxiliary Corps, which is the WAAC, and the Women's Army Corps, which is the WACS. And they had served on World War II, the Korean War, and the Vietnam War. Mm-hmm. They met at the home of a member, Lucille Brown, in Hampton, Virginia. They decided to locate and invite other women veterans to be part of the organization. So in 1978, they had their first reunion. It was in Dallas, Texas, which reminds me, we've been in existence over 40 years.
My goodness.
And very few people, know about us.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
So can you tell us a little bit about, what's the mission, of the association?
Yes.
And maybe also how many chapters do we have?
Right. The mission of NABMW is to seek out, record, and maintain and tell the history and heritage of African American military women who served and are serving in the United States Armed Forces. Mm-hmm. And we currently have 4 chapters. We have one in Los Angeles, one in Atlanta, one in New York, and one in Brooklyn. Mm-hmm. And we are currently in the process of developing a chapter in the Washington, D.C. and Virginia area. And we are very excited about that because we know that that's a large veteran population. So we feel like that will be another avenue of getting the word out about NABMW.
Right. And then what are some of the activities, that you'll engage in, as an organized, group? Mm-hmm.
Some of the activities that we engage in is we develop, avenues of women, of identifying the needs of women veterans. We assist them with their claims. Mm-hmm. We assist them with housing. We assist them with child care, and it's not only through NABMW. So most of us are, as you said, Latia we are connected with other organizations. So while we are assisting with these other organizations, we find that the minority women are the ones that are less likely to receive care. Yeah. So I have a tendency to try and identify those needs and focus on them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And then also, not just, probably would our African American, women veterans be the last to apply, but in so many ways, they would probably, also, not be that, enthusiastic to seek out, help, because we know that the battle continues even after people return. Mm-hmm. Yet in so many ways, that affects, so many veterans in so many different ways, and especially, women veterans. Right. And so it looks as if the association works very hard to, one, let, women veterans know, hey, there is help for you, and here's how you can access it. In terms of that, is that an accurate way of talking about
it is.
Some of the services provided? And
I would like for our Vice President Martha Taylor Butler to have a few words about that.
Yes. So we're gonna bring her in, and we're working on getting her. So we're gonna bring her in. I'm gonna bring Latia in. And see if you can maybe, say a little bit about your experience with the association and how, the association has, you've participated in it and how it served you. That'll be great. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we've gone to different events and set up tables to put out information and see what assistance other veterans need. We've also assisted military units around here who are deploying, to where we go to their events prior to them deploying and then stay in contact with them in the meantime and send care packages to them, keep up the communication and see what the needs are. So we're looking forward in the future to doing some fundraising and more advocating toward our organization. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And we'll hear more about that support, that's needed, as well as how people can participate, in that as we look at that. One of the ways that certainly we learn about the experience of individuals is to hear their stories and to listen to their stories. And so can you maybe say a little bit about, how are, the stories of our women veterans, how's that being told? Mm-hmm.
Different museums, like I think the Smithsonian Museum, the African American Museum, and then there's the Women's Museum, getting that information to them so that it can be recorded so that we are also included in the history of the military. Because a lot of times women and black women are left out of those stories. Mm-hmm. Like until I found out about this organization, the National Association of Black Military Women, I didn't know about the 688th Postal Battalion, which was an all-black African-American women unit during World War II. And those are stories that you don't hear about. So that's our mission, to also be included in these stories.
Yeah, and that's always so challenging and painful, when you realize that it's almost like, for the risks that our women, has taken, in so many ways, they pushed into invisibility and their stories not being told. Hence, the powerful movie Hidden Figures, right? Yeah. It's almost like, our women veterans, have been rendered, in the shadows, right. Regardless of the risks that they've taken and the sacrifice that they've made, around that. Do you want to say a little bit more about, that battalion?
Yes. Well, the 688, in February 1945, in a warehouse in Birmingham, England, there were over 1 million pieces of mail that was just sitting, not being delivered. And they had attempted several avenues of getting this done. So finally, through the persistence of Mrs. Roosevelt and Martha Hite, the black women that were serving in World War II were allowed to go over to move the mail. And they were significant because they were given 6 months to do it, and they did it in 3 months' time.
All right.
Yeah, and they received such terrible treatment. They were housed in areas that there was no heat. They were belittled and told that they were not progressing as expected. In fact, this general went up to Clara Adams and told her that he was going to have a white person come in and take charge of the unit. And she said, "Over my dead body." So she's remarkable, and she's one of the ones that we really admire. And one of our members, our past members, her name was Gladys Schuster Carter. She was such a wonderful person. She's deceased now, but she assisted us a lot in NABMW and getting the organization, our bylaws, and assisted us with our bylaws and guidelines for the organization. She was a member of that unit, and so she was very proud of her history, and we were very proud of her.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. I think we have on the line, Mrs. Martha Taylor Butler, who is an Airforce veteran, and we're going to see if she can join us. So let's see. Ms. Taylor Butler, are you there?
Yes, I am, Pastor. Thank you.
Yes, we have a beautiful picture of you up there, so we can see, who you are. First of all, we want to just say thank you for your service, and it was just a joy to speak with you earlier on and to just learn about you just a little bit, and so glad that we were able to connect you and have you with us this afternoon. Can you tell us where you are calling from?
Yes, I'm calling from the other side of the country. I'm calling from the East Coast. Right now I'm in Florida. That's where I'm living now, in Central Florida, a little north of Orlando.
Oh, wow. So that's great. So I hope you guys have some sunshine over there, because, we don't have any sunshine in California today. So hopefully Central Florida, is sunny, and please, before the day is out, get some sun ready to get to us for tomorrow at least. Thank you so much for joining us. It's so good to have you on. I know you serve as the National Vice President, and so glad that you're with us. Did you want to, we were talking about the 6888 Postal Battalion. That's just a fascinating story, again, around just the resiliency, of, our women who served in the military and their fortitude, that they displayed in so many, different ways. Did you want to add anything, around, your understanding of the mission, of the National Association of Black Military Women, or you can add a little bit, around, this just courageous battalion that we just talked about.
Okay. Well, thank you. Yes, I definitely would love to add some. This organization has been a godsend to me. When I came out of the service, I served. First, let me tell you a little bit about me. I was a dependent wife. Mm-hmm. Then I worked civil service for the Air Force. Then I enlisted. I became a single parent, and I became an officer. Mm-hmm. So serving in the military it helped me. However, when I came out of the service, because I served on active duty, we didn't have the camaraderie that some of the reservists have. They serve together, people in the same community, or they serve as a unit. So when I came out, I tried to join some of the military organizations, and I went to the men's organizations, and they tried to put me in the women's auxiliary, which is where the spouses are. Mm. And of course, that didn't do. So I still work with some of those organizations, and I served men, and I helped men to get to the VA, get some of the benefits and the health, take care of some of their health needs. But it never dawned on me to go for myself. It took me 10 years before someone told me, a man told me, you need to go get your benefits. And I went, and that turned my life around. That was great. But it was even better when I met a female veteran, black woman, and we became friends, and she invited me to lunch one day. And she said, I'm going to take you to a meeting afterward. I said, okay, great. I was so excited. It has changed my life. Now I have camaraderie with some of my sisters. We are scattered. We work in the military. We serve just like the men. But as my sisters have said, we do not get the recognition. We do not get the benefits. And some of us, the maltreatment that we received even as we were serving continues afterwards. Mm-hmm. So as black women, we are very community-minded anyway. We're nurturers.
Yes.
So we continue to give back in our communities. And you see, we are scattered around the country, so we try to serve our local communities and give back and help others.
Yeah. Well, we just want to, again, let you know that one of the reasons why we wanted to do this, program is to bring recognition, to, all of your contributions and your accomplishments, and to just educate, folk around the association, the needs of our black women veterans, the association, and just everything that you're doing, again, to try and see how we can move women veterans from invisibility to visibility, and make sure that they access the necessary services that they need, as well as see how we can come alongside and support them as they continue to fight so many battles, even beyond the battlefield, around them. So this is just a privilege, for us here at Faith Without Borders to be able to have all of you here and to have this conversation. I want to bring up, based on the experience that our women had, in that postal battalion. We know, of course, that racism and sexism, continues to. It has, created some barriers and some challenges. But one thing I know about black women is that black women are overcomers. Black women are resilient, and we commend you on that. So not only are you nurturers, but you're also courageous. And so we just celebrate that. But do you want to just talk a little bit about, how, our women who served in the military, how they navigated, a military culture in so many ways to overcome the challenges of racism and sexism. Mm-hmm. So anyone can respond to that. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Who wants to go? Go ahead.
I would like to tackle that. We speak about the 688, and we definitely stand on their shoulders, what they went through, and the joy and morale boost that they brought to the men who were serving in Europe when they, a simple thing like not being able to receive the mail, they were separated from home. And these women went in there and in no time were able to bring that morale up. And they still didn't get the recognition. But they're not the only ones. It's not only the 688. They're women, well, I don't know if you've seen Harriet, but we have been serving this country.
Yes.
Right along, and we will continue to serve. So we do need to be recognized, not just to toot our horn, but to be able to tell people it's an honor to serve. My story, I loved my 14 years in the military, but my story wasn't totally rosy and honorable. I was what they call railroaded, but I still loved my experience. And, you come up against people, and that can happen on any job. When competition gets keen, the fighting gets tough. That's okay. God had a different plan for me. I probably would not have been a part of NABMW had I not gone through certain things.
Yes.
But, we women serve. We serve everywhere. We will continue to serve.
Absolutely. Anyway, you want to add anything to that?
I just want to add also the 688. There's still 4 of them alive.
Oh, wow.
In fact, one live in Las Vegas. Her name is Lena King. And this weekend, she's celebrating her 97th birthday.
Oh, well, happy birthday, Miss King.
And I sent her, yesterday, I sent her flowers from NABMW.
Oh, that's great.
So, and then you have 2 that live in Florida. They just celebrated, in May, their 100th birthday.
Goodness.
And there's one other. So there's 4 of them all total. And NABMW is, I must say that our members really embrace history because they had a member of the 688 who passed away alone, and nobody knew that she was a member of the 688. Well, someone found out about it, and NABMW, I had 2 of our members to go to her services, and they presented a proclamation to her and everything to her. She didn't have any family, but to the people in attendance, she had a really, really nice service. That lots of people were there, so that we recognize the fact that she did not die alone.
Yeah, absolutely. That is so powerful. That is just so powerful and so needed. Around that. Speaking of recognition, I know the 688. Was there any recognition recently, for them?
Yes.
You want to say a little bit about that?
Right. In November, Carlton Philpott, who lives in back there in Leavenworth, near Fort Leavenworth, contacted us and told us that they will be doing a dedication, a monument for them.
Oh, wow.
So I could not go, but our past president, Stephanie Dawson, was Colonel Stephanie Dawson, was able to go, and one of our other members, Ruby Robertson, who lives back there. So they attended the ceremony and they presented the proclamations from NABMW. And we have an inscription on the monument that's located at Fort Leavenworth. The dedication was November the 30th.
Yeah, we're gonna see if we can get a picture of the monument, because we have a picture of the monument. So continue to talk, and we'll get a picture of the monument after, so folks can see.
Okay. They also were granted the Meritorious Unit Commendation.
Mm-hmm.
Finally, they're getting some recognition.
Yes.
And the congressman has also sent a bill for them to have the gold congressional medal.
Yes.
So
wow.
we're waiting for that to be approved.
Yeah, that's great. So let me ask, how does it feel to see this monument, and and just realize the recognition, of these women of courage. Say a little bit about that.
It definitely gives me a sense of pride.
Mm-hmm.
I just, when I look at it and I think about the fact that NABMW, we have an inscription on it, and how these women, in spite of what they endured, that finally someone is recognizing that they need to be recognized, and it's long overdue. Yeah.
Great. Latia, how does that make you feel?
I'm proud that they finally got the acknowledgement. I wish they had gotten it sooner, but it's there for people to know that, there was this unit of all black military women. And, it's just great.
So tell us again, where is it located? Because, we want to see if we can encourage people to go and see it and visit it.
It's located in Monument Park in Fort Leavenworth, Kansas.
Kansas, is that Kansas City or?
Fort Leavenworth, Kansas.
Okay, Fort Leavenworth, Kansas. Because I get the Kansas confused.
Yeah. I know.
I'm going to try and get it together before the Super Bowl, so I can make sure. So we want to encourage folks to go check out that monument. It's beautiful, and it just sends a powerful message. And I know, Ms. Taylor Butler, you mentioned Harriet, and I don't think a lot of people knew, that Harriet later on, joined, right? You see, and became a leader in, the army and the war, and led,
right.
You see, valiantly in so many ways. I know Harriet is one of my heroes, and for some reason, I kind of missed that, in terms of it. So I think that was just another recognition, of how, women contributed in so many, significant ways, to our freedom. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes.
Did you want to add something to that, Ms. Butler?
Well, anyone is invited to go to our website. We have a whole lot of her story here. We talk about the Black Rosies of World War II. We talk about Rosie the Riveter. Well, there were black women who served. You don't see or hear about them as well. Mm-hmm. And they took care of the machinery and worked from home. They didn't put on the uniform, but they took care in the background so that the men could go on to war. When you fight, when you have the military, it takes every part. Everybody do their part. And African-American women serve in every capacity, just like everyone else.
Absolutely, and that's just so powerful around that. Now, can you tell us a little bit about maybe some upcoming events? I know there's some kind of a big conference coming up somewhere in Texas. Can you all tell us a little bit about that?
We certainly can. Every 2 years, as I said, when they started the biannual conference in Dallas, every 2 years since that time, we've had the biannual conference, and it's in different states. The last conference was in Atlanta, Georgia. So this one will be in San Antonio, Texas, in July.
All right.
July 22nd through the 26th.
I think we have a flyer for that too, so we'll show
the
them.
Westin at the Riverside
Hotel.
And what's the? Clearly, there's an incredible bond of sisterhood, with all of you. So, what would be the purpose of this, biannual conference, and what do you seek to accomplish through it?
Well, we combine business and pleasure.
All right.
We have to have business meetings where we review. We have to review our bylaws and make sure our bylaws are brought up to date because there's a great need for that. We have to have the session the business session where we discuss the organization and the different things that are going on and what we need to do as far as improving the organization and moving it forward. The officers have to give their reports.
Okay. And what's some of the fun stuff y'all going to do? Or is that you can't disclose anything?
Yeah, yeah. The biggest fun stuff is our gala on the Saturday night. We have our big gala, and we have a dance, and we have music and entertainment, and it's just a fun event. And we usually have people in the community that participate in that, so we look forward to that because it's like a closing out for us that have worked so hard to put this conference on. And when we get to the gala, we know that's the end. All right, now.
What's the date for the gala again?
It's the Saturday. So
July 25th.
July 25th.
Now, is this just for the the women veterans?
Oh, no!
Or can anybody?
Anyone can.
Can we crash the party?
You definitely can. In fact, before we leave today, I intend to sign you up as one of our auxiliary members.
Lord have mercy! All right now. I'll be in San Antonio, Texas, hanging with, our black women veterans. Watch out now. We're gonna have a good time.
Absolutely.
Yes. So we want to. How can we support, the conference and maybe some of the other activities of the association? Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, so we're looking for sponsors. You can always make donations. You can go to our website, www.nabmw.org. There's a button there to make donations, and we're seeking sponsorship as well. You can also, anybody can join. You don't have to be in the military to join. You can be an associate member.
Yeah, and we have that website on the screen so that people can, check it out and see how, how they can join. One of the joys that we've had, and we've worked, with a major threat, in so many ways. She has been to, when I was at home in United Methodist Church, she came and she was, one of our speakers. We recognize, Women Veterans Week, and then also, around, of course, Veterans Day, we do several activities, around. Just recognizing and celebrating, our women veterans, and that was just great. And then, she was leading, one of the organizations. I believe it was in Long Beach, if I'm not mistaken.
Right. She was the executive director for U.S. Vets. She's now moved on. She's at El Camino College and she's the associate director for the Veterans Program. Yeah. She's also the national chaplain for NABMW.
My goodness.
So we are really proud of her and her accomplishments. Very, very bright young lady, motivated, and very, very smart.
And she's also, a colleague because she's ordained in the AME Church, and has just done extraordinary work in so many ways. 1 year we partnered, with her an organization, with an event that we would do annually called Navidad en el Barrio with the Brotherhood Crusade. And part of that event is to distribute, food, bags, with turkeys. And we work hard to distribute about, 250, 300 bags. Wow. And we always would set aside, some of those bags for our women veterans. And so she was always helpful, to let us know what's needed. And then in addition to the food bag we would give, we would have a gift card in there, because we didn't want to assume that everything people would need would be in the food bag.
Right.
So we'd always give them either a gift card to Target, or to Walmart, or somewhere where they can still supplement what's in that bag. And then we would have a team that would drive and go and deliver it, and kind of visit with the women veterans and their families, at that facility. That was just such a powerful experience for us to be able to do that. And we know there are several organizations who specifically look out for women veterans, and would want to make sure that that you are cared for around this. That's just what's so powerful and wonderful about this. Are there some other ways that we can be a supporter of women veterans in general, but also the association?
Well, if you cannot make it to San Antonio to our conference or participate with a local chapter, we do produce a souvenir journal for the conference. So anyone can buy an ad, and that way your support is seen around the country, because the journal does go all over the country. So that's the way you can participate. And the ads are very reasonable considering other magazines. That's an excellent way to help us.
Yeah. And certainly you can find the information on the website. And again, that website is www.nabmw.org. So that's where you can find information for sponsorships, how to contribute, how to become a member, how to make donations, and to get more information about, the National Association, of Black Military Women. So check out that website, www.nabmw.org, for more information around that. Let's talk about, where we are, right now. We still know that, we clearly, we haven't conquered, racism. We still kind of working on that in so many different ways. We still haven't conquered sexism. We're still working on that in so many ways. What are some thoughts that you have, in terms of how can we as a society, just continue to, keep our hand, on the plow, in terms of how do we just, excavate, racism and sexism, because it still persists, in so many different ways, around us, and probably still in, the armed services. Any thoughts just about how do we continue just to stay focused and see how we can just eradicate, these two, challenges that just affect, our women?
Well, there's a cliche that I hear often: when you see something, say something. And a perfect example is our VA hospitals. Like the women are having challenges going there because of the catcalls from the men, and the harassments of approaching them and everything. So if you are a male and you are at the VA hospital and you see this happening, you need to intervene and say something. So make this a safe environment for our women veterans. We've earned the right to be there, so there's no reason why we should have to be subjected to it. And as you know, sexual assault in the military is real. Suicide is real. So if you have any connection with veterans and you feel that they are depressed or they're not functioning totally, if you have any connection with any veteran organization, let them know so they can reach out to that person. So there's a lot of ways that the community can get involved. And if you want to sit back and not be involved directly, you can call someone else and let us intervene for you. That's what we are here for.
So I would also like to add to helping with that situation for veterans is there's a lot of agencies that don't ask people if they're veterans or if they've served their country. One example is the courts. Like you have the family court and children's court. They don't ask people if they're veterans. And then so there's resources available for veterans, but it's not listed with those courts. So that's something I've been advocating to get so that when they take, like therapy or counseling with the Veterans Family Wellness Center or the VA, that it's acknowledged and that connection is there, that they have treatment, they've been going to treatment, and right now it's not there. There's a total disconnect with that. So different agencies just kind of adding something to their forms and asking people if they're veterans so that they can get the help that they need and assistance.
So clearly there's some advocacy, issues that we can, tackle too. We want to talk about that a little bit more because that can be, I think one avenue, that, we sometimes it comes natural to some people, but sometimes it doesn't come natural. Right. So we want to just talk a little bit about what are some advocacy, pieces that we can work. And we know, Congresswoman Maxine Waters and Congresswoman Karen Bass are huge supporters. Right. You see, of those who served, but especially those who are African American. And because they are two women, we certainly can be assured of their support around this. So we'll talk a little bit more about advocacy. But I wanted to bring in Ms. Taylor Butler again. Just maybe your thoughts around this ongoing challenge we have around racism and sexism, and just some thoughts from you as to how do we continue to move the needle to overcome, these two challenges that just continue to plague our society in general, but you all can also share how it continues to be a challenge, in the military.
Well, one of the best ways is to join an association like the National Association of Black Military Women. In this organization, I found a sisterhood. It's a camaraderie. As I said, when I came out of the service, even where I was stationed as a black military officer on active duty, there are not too many of you on one base. So I served alone, and when I came back home, I felt alone. But NABMW has made me feel comfortable, and we need to continue to talk. I found out I have neighbors that I've known for years who served in the military. They won't even acknowledge. They didn't want to say anything about it because they felt their experience was so bad. And if they told someone, they felt they would get further poor treatment. So we need to continue to speak up, as my president said, and to serve. And the men, they serve alongside of us. We serve alongside of them. But there's something that happens when we leave our military installation. We have to start talking, and we have to continue to talk. And organizations like the NABMW, we have to continue to move forward and do our advocacy and serve as we have been doing.
Absolutely. And I do believe that the faith community can play a significant role in how we step up and step out. We as a faith community have the asset of compassion. We have the asset of restoration. We have the asset of healing, and that's why we actually started, and named that ministry Beyond the Battlefield, because we, I was educated to know that veterans continue to fight so many different battles after they leave the battlefield. And so beyond the battlefield, there are still so many other battles to be fought. And so, the faith community can just be such a powerful place, and people of faith can be such powerful people to see how we can facilitate pipelines, for our veterans, as they come home, and for their families, around it. And again, as I said, it's just been a privilege and a joy, for us to be able to have done that. And I'm glad to see that it continues, around that. The faith community, I think, can also play a huge role around advocacy, to get to know and understand what the needs are, and then to educate ourselves and mobilize ourselves, organize ourselves to then see, okay, how do we now, on behalf of our women veterans, begin to raise our awareness, speak out, so that we can, make sure that they receive what is due them, that they are accepted, for who they are, and then to see how we can accompany them, on their path to healing and restoration, in terms of that. So let's talk a little bit about just the advocacy pieces. If there are any, advocacy pieces that you all, think that we need to be aware of, or that we can become a part of, so that folk can at least, get to know about that, and we can see how we can support.
Yeah, I think Martha wanted to say something.
You. Yes, thank you, Latia. I would like to thank you for having an organization, for taking the time and the courage to learn about veterans, and especially women veterans and black women veterans, because I guess homelessness is not going away in this country. Unfortunately, it's rising, and more of the homeless are beginning to look like us. Too many of the homeless people are veterans, and we're having an increasing number of women who served in the military becoming homeless with children. So I want to thank you for doing that, because I have found in my work around the country, some churches, and it's their religious belief. I'm not saying anything negative against them. We all have our beliefs and what we feel is important and how we want to do. But some churches distance themselves from military, period. They don't want anything to do with the military. They might, if a man comes in uniform, they'll shake his hand, oh, welcome, welcome. But they don't treat the women the same way. So, we do serve. And whether we're in uniform or serving civil service, we do do jobs just like everyone else, and we need the same support. And with that support, our families serve just like other military families. So we need to be whole to continue to nurture as women and mothers and sisters. So thank you for that.
Yes. No, I mean, I have to be transparent, by saying that, the vision for Beyond the Battlefield, that ministry, was a birth out of a struggle that I had to deal with and that I had to face, a wrestling that I had to come to terms with. When I was at home one time, during, Veterans Day, and I was watching, so many different organizations, pledging support and solidarity, for our veterans, and both the silence and the absence of the faith community was quite startling to me and appalling. And so I had to basically sit with that and ask myself why, and so I had to really, as one who is a proponent of peace, who's a peacemaker, one who, seek to, engage in nonviolent, struggle, and one who participates in that in so many different ways. I mean, the work we do, through Community Coalition is really nonviolent, a struggle. So as a peacemaker and a proponent of peace, I had to wrestle with, okay, how do we, respond to this? And basically, what helped me, resolve this for me was there is, of course, the policy of, a war economy and proponents of that. But I had to come to terms to the fact that, while we might have challenges with that policy, we're still dealing with people, who are impacted by this and who are involved in it, whether they've made this choice deliberate or not. Right. They're involved in it, and so we care for so many people going through so many challenges, and we don't necessarily, ask them, so how did you get into this? It's almost like no questions asked. Yet I realized when it came to, veterans, all of a sudden we had just all these questions that we would want to add. And I basically resolved, that by just saying that in the end, the invitation is compassion. The invitation is restoration. And last I checked, that's an integral part of, so many faith traditions. And that in the end, it is about, the people, and those who are being affected, by, acts of war and all of that. So I've resolved that. But again, I had to go through that, as a proponent of peace and as a participant, of nonviolent struggle. And I'm glad that I did. And as a result of that, we were able to, launch this ministry, and through that, then had the sensitivity, when Latia approached me, we were able to talk because a bridge has already been, was already constructed, for the conversation. And here we are, and now, I believe I need to become a member now of the association.
Absolutely.
Lord have mercy, and to try and get to San Antonio, But we would want to just, so it takes time to raise awareness, to become conscious, and there's nothing more powerful than activating one's compassion by way of consciousness. And I'm glad that that my conscience, was raised, around that. I want to give each one of you, just, some final thoughts that you want to, maybe share about the association. We know the event is coming up. I now know about the 6888 Postal Battalion. I hope somebody who will watch this or see this will begin to write a script, so we can at least see this, somewhere. I don't know whether there's a book about them, so we can get that book out so that folk can, hear about it. But definitely, hopefully, a movie around it. But any final thoughts you have that you want to share?
I just want to say that during Women's History Month, which is March, we will be showing the documentary here in
great.
L.A. So I will let you know those dates and everything. We're working with the producer. I finally heard from him. So we will definitely be doing that.
So you can, Faith Without Borders, you have my support, you have our support, and we'll mobilize, our folk to come on out and see. If you need a venue, between Latia and I think we can get a venue for you somewhere on Vermont and 80-something.
Okay.
So we got your back. All right. But any final thoughts, Latia, and then we'll also ask Ms. Taylor Butler.
Yeah, just to add to the documentary that'll be shown in March, these women in the 6888, they have descendants. So we've met a few of the family members that are still living here in the Los Angeles, Inglewood area. So they'll be attending the screening as well. And they have a lot of memorabilia, pictures, and whatnot from their family members. So that's nice to see and meet those individuals during that event also.
Yeah. We're going to ask Air Force veteran Martha Taylor Butler if you have some final words.
Well, we've been talking about the history. One of the things we didn't mention about our conference is that we put on a very nice historical display from different units, from different parts of the country. So you can not only come and meet some of these historical people, but you can see pictures and read and see some memorabilia and some artifacts that we have on display. It's a wonderful display, and it's usually displayed in the hotel so that not only our organization gets to see it, but people come who are passing through the hotel, and they love it. It's wonderful. I do hope I get to meet you, at least in San Antonio.
Lord have mercy. I feel the pressure. I feel the pressure. And I have the president sitting next to me. I mean, she knows how to get a hold of me, so I'm telling you, it's on and popping here. So we're going to ask retired Lieutenant Colonel Patricia Jackson-Kelley if she has some final words. Madam President.
I just want to echo what has been said repeatedly. We want to thank you for this opportunity. It's good to reconnect with you because I enjoyed working with you when we were doing Beyond the Battlefield. Yeah. And I want to especially thank Latia for connecting us.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Latia, any final words?
No, that's it. They've said it all.
Yes. Well, thank you so much. This has been such a rich experience, for me. So I want to really thank retired Chief Warrant Officer 2 Latia Suttle, retired Lieutenant Colonel Patricia Jackson-Kelley, and Air Force veteran Martha Taylor Butler for joining me today, on Faith Without Borders. It's been a joy to host, them today and to have this fascinating conversation about this unique, sisterhood that can be experienced through, this association. And so we want to, again, thank them for their service, but most importantly, thank them for their humanity and thank them for how they continue to serve in so many ways. And we want to, let them know that they are women of valor. And we celebrate them for staying, on that battlefield, fighting racism and sexism as we move towards a more just and fair society. So thank them, and thank you for joining us today. This has been Faith Without Borders, and I'm your host, Pastor Kelvin Sauls.